Welcome to a very special edition of TFL Talk. I'm here at the 2023 New York International Auto Show, and you probably expected Roman or Tommy or Nathan, and you're not getting any of those guys. You're getting me. But better than that, I have my friend Motorman. Motorman?
Andre.
Hey, dude.
Welcome to my hometown. Glad you could be here.
You've lived here for many years.
Well, I lived here most of my life, actually. I was born here, went to high school on the Upper West Side.
Oh my goodness, so
Yes, sir.
This is your stomping ground.
This is my side. We'll go for pizza later.
Okay, so how about this? So we did this from previous auto shows. You and Roman did Chicago, for example.
Yes, sir.
But on this episode of our podcast, I want to kind of see what's the newest and the coolest and the most awesome stuff in the car world in New York.
I also have some surprises that may not be the newest, but we'll save that for later.
Okay, so stay tuned. At the end of this podcast, we'll see some, shall we say classic metal?
I don't know if classic is the right term. I'd say it's more in between.
Okay.
Yes.
So can we start here with the Genesis booth?
You know all about this one.
Yes, so I was actually fortunate enough, I actually went to the world debut of this concept, and you know, Genesis decided to surprise us, because before this unveiling, what we're seeing here is the GV80 Coupe concept.
So from the C-pillar forward, it looks like a GV80 to me.
Yes.
With very cool wheels.
But in the rear, so let's walk around here, it's a whole different animal. But this type of style is not, this type of vehicle is not new in the industry.
It was invented by BMW with the X6.
Yes. But now, I mean, everybody's doing it. You know, Mercedes has something, Audi, and now Genesis has something as well.
It's a very simple business equation. When you think about what a new car costs to make, it is $3 billion, whether it's a Porsche or a crossover that sells 250,000 units. So if you make all the investment for just the regular SUV, think about by adding this design change, you probably sell another 30% of cars.
Yeah, and you know, people get excited because a lot of people like that sportier style, right? So here's a couple things. They surprised us with it. They said the concept is coming. They said it was going to have 4 wheels, and it does. But
That's what they honestly told you.
yes, but what do you think about the styling? People kind of like this design here.
So this is where I get into the whys and wherefores of what this is. If you think about it, this is an SUV or a crossover CUV, and what you're doing with these things is technically you're taking the U out of the equation, meaning there's less utility. But I had to think about this many years because I never understood these. And when I realized people that used to buy D-segment cars, like Toyota Avalons or like Lexus ESs,
big ones.
they're like, we want to do an SUV, but we don't like the bulkiness. So they all went to this, and that's why these things are so popular.
And this one, everybody expected an electric concept. It's not.
Surprising from them.
It's got exhaust pipes, big
And
ones.
it's got a V6.
And it's got a large, well, we don't know what it's got.
Well, this GV80 is on offer with the V6. They've got a 4-cylinder. The V6 is fantastic in this. I have to say, from a design perspective, to me, this looks very much like the GLE 63 Coupe. But I think they've done a really good job with the taillight treatment here. Notice it wraps around the car. It's not broken at all. And that design theme is married to the front of the car, even going to the dash to axle ratio here in the fender. So this was introduced, this theme was introduced in the Genesis X concept. That was in the depths of the virus. Sang Yip, he brought the car over to LA in 2021, and now it's on all their cars.
I love it. And by the way, you know, the chief of design at Genesis, Luke.
Luke,
Yes.
proper Porsche guy.
I
I'm a big fan of yours.
I was entering the, Genesis house where they were unveiling this, and he recognized me. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
In the truck world, you are the man. You're the Robert Redford.
He said he was interested in some truck stuff and off-roading, and so he was really into it. So that was amazing.
Does he have trucks?
Yes.
What does
I don't
he
know if I
have?
can say that. He told me what he owns.
What does he own?
An F-150 Shelby Raptor.
That's him.
A Shelby Raptor.
This man loves speed. Like, this man has a Porsche collection second to none, and all the good stuff. So having that truck doesn't surprise me.
So they're saying this is going to go into production, and it's kind of a no-brainer. It's a concept here,
Yeah.
but it's going to be in the production.
This is concept in the terms like Honda and Acura do concept cars. They show you something with fancier wheels, but then it comes to production almost identical. And look at the wheels. Tell us a little bit about the wheels.
23s, dude. And
they're crazy.
They're kind of simple, right? It's not like over-designed in my opinion, but really great looking.
I not only love the size of the wheels, but two other details about it. Notice the depth of the wheel. It's not a deep dish in the traditional sense of deep dish, but you can see the depth in the wheel, and then they bring that design theme that we talked about, the lights, it's repeated in the wheel.
Yes. And the color is called Magma, but should we keep going?
We should.
Yeah.
We should. Now you wanted to give back.
Yes.
You wanted to give back.
You know, it's a lot about, you know, supporting others, right?
Especially a big star like you in the off-road world.
You're giving me maybe too much credit. But let's walk the show and see what else is here. Of course, Hyundai booth is here next to us.
Can I do a shameless plug?
Yes.
So I am a World Car juror.
Yes.
And New York Auto Show is where we award the World Car Awards. So we have World Car of the Year, World Design of the Year, World Luxury Car, World Performance Car, World City Car. This swept the awards. It won World Design, it won World Electric, and it won World Car of the Year.
And also, the person responsible for this design won the Person of the Year.
Yep, Sang Yip.
Yes.
Great guy. Again, shameless plug. I did an interview with him, which will be live in a couple of weeks.
Ioniq 6.
Ioniq 6. So
Ioniq
this is
6.
the Ioniq 5. It's the eGMP platform, so it's got the 77.4 kilowatt hour battery. It's on offer rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and then the car it's a car now instead of a crossover. So the way this drives, it's got much more composure over the Ioniq 5. I personally like the Ioniq 5 better in design.
All right. Well, you know, everybody it's subjective, right?
What do you think between the two? Which do you like?
I'm more of a hatch guy. So let me show you a hatchback that I like, and it's over here. So this is also kind of special. You're talking about giving back a little bit, right?
Yes, sir.
And Hyundai is doing this in a big way. They've been supporting Hope on Wheels program, they call it, for 25 years. This is the 25th year, and they're going big this year. And I just wanted to kind of give them some props for this. They're donating up to $25 million to support childhood pediatric cancer research.
That's awesome.
So
I love when they do stuff like that. This is, so I told you I am from this city. My mother worked at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center for many years, and it's probably one of the most, that does a significant amount of cancer research. The fact that these guys are giving back to organizations like this is just fantastic.
But significant way, 25 million.
That's a huge
and over this period, it's 225 million overall.
Yeah.
So that's a huge number.
This region here is more impacted by cancer than some others. There's high rates of cancer on Long Island.
Should we talk briefly about the Kona, because it's new and it's here. You know, they made a debut with it. So the new updated Kona is here.
So, in your mind, would you call this updated, or a heavy refresh, or a totally new car? What would you call it? I would
call it a refresh.
That's what it looks like to me.
A refresh. Yeah, let's.
How about this one?
Yeah, but Kona, I mean, they have a full range of the car, right?
They've got the hybrid, the EV.
And that's about it, right? But the styling, dude, I love what they're doing. I love this LED line that's now in the front.
It's definitely polarizing. I actually like the way it looks. It's got that like RoboCop look to it, and it works well on this car. But I think the big reason why they do this is just me kind of reading the tea leaves. This is a great way for them to differentiate from the Kia. Because if you look at the Seltos, it looks more chunky. Even the updated version that they have, which you and I are going to drive in a couple of weeks. But this, it's a more techno look. It's a totally different car, even though it's the same platform as the Seltos.
And look, this one's got some sporty style here. It's got a really nice roof spoiler on the top of it.
This is the N. So now there is a lot of debate. No, excuse me, this is the N line. I'm sorry, this is the N line.
1.6 turbo.
Significant debate within Hyundai. This is, let's just say this is me interpreting what I'm seeing within Hyundai of whether they continue with the Kona N. Because the Kona N, it's this ridiculous thing that makes no sense. It's stupid, it's unpolished, but it's so fun to drive. But the question is, who's going to buy a $35,000, $38,000, almost 300 horsepower, effectively tall hot hatch? Actually, that's a good question for your audience.
Yes.
Is that a vehicle you guys, forget about whether you would want it, would you actually write a check for it, because they're not really selling?
A tallish hot hatch.
Tall, which is what this is.
Yeah, which is what. That's a great question. Great question. So this kind of made its debut here in New York. So it's very prominent here.
Now show them, Zach. Show them the back of the non-spoiler car. Notice the organic shape that they've put in here. It's not just the shape is more rounded and something that looks, I'd say, a little tall and boxy. But notice they've got this satin finish on this band, this trim that goes all the way under the daylight opening. That's a neat touch you wouldn't expect in a car that's supposed to be somewhat affordable.
Yeah, I think, Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia are good at this. They're playing with different styling elements and always adding value, right? There's a lot of value in this car.
I got to tell you that now that I'm seeing this thing in person, I saw the pictures of it.
Yeah.
I know Roman went over to Berlin or something like that to check this thing out.
Yes.
Here we are in New York. You look at the Seltos and you look at this. I got to tell you, I think I like this one better in design.
Well, let's check out the Seltos in a minute. By the way, Hyundai, check this out. They have the Ioniq 6s running around here on the track. Seeing a car in motion kind of changes my perception of it.
I would agree. This is one of the upsides of auto shows kind of getting smaller. There's room for a test track.
Yeah. So I think now that I see it in motion, I'm actually liking it more and more and more. Isn't it a little nauseating?
It is. You could see that she was looking to torture the people in that car. She had that devious look on her face.
Yes.
Maybe we should send you out with her.
And that person was smiling, but it could be nauseating. Okay, let's keep moving.
Okay, so we're going to go to Kia now. We have a couple of things to show them at Kia, some big news.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out. You might be wondering, why are we not talking about trucks?
That's a very good point.
Well, because we also have a truck podcast, and that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
And it's already published. So you can check out oldtfl.com for truck podcast, and there's a Ram electric truck over there.
So you already did a tour of the truck?
Yes, I did.
Just a quick one, I want to ask your opinion on that. Ram has come out with some crazy big battery in that thing, and promising 500 miles of range. Do you think they're actually going to hit it?
I think so. This music is really loud. Let's move this way.
Yeah.
So their large battery in the Ram EV is 229 kilowatt hours, which is bigger than the Hummer, right?
Okay, to give you an idea, a Lucid, which currently has the most range of these cars, the best one is 516 miles of range. That's 122 kilowatt hours.
Yes, but a Lucid is also not, A high and that big, and will it tow 14,000 pounds?
No, but it's fast.
Yes.
0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
So I did a calculation. 500 miles divided by 229.
Yeah.
It's approximately 2.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is actually a reasonable thing.
That's reasonable.
To expect from a truck.
Because what do you get? You're getting 3 now, right? Some of the trucks.
Well, it depends. We had a lot of questions from the audience. So let me come down here. A lot of questions from the audience saying, well, what about towing? What's the range of towing? Well, they don't state that. The range they're stating is a truck, maybe a little bit of payload, right? So that's the EPA kind of estimate.
In reality, you are the expert of electric towing because you've actually tested it.
We have.
And your results came back really interesting.
In the Lightning, we've towed with a Hummer EV. We've towed with the Rivian pickup trucks and SUVs. So we did all that. And of course, efficiency goes down at least half. Sometimes a little bit more, depending on your usage. So
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Let's check out the EV9.
EV9. Let's do EV9.
Wow. You know what? I really like this design. What about you?
So I have to admit, I think this is a beautiful design. They've done a couple of things here. Oh, we're shooting. The Moto Week. See this? The MotoWeek crew is trying to jump into our shot. This is Dave.
I was here first.
This is the guy. He's a diva because he got to drive the Dakar 911 in Dakar, so he doesn't slum with us bums here. Yeah. Thanks,
but we're not on stage. We're not on stage. We're beyond the stage here.
Because he's royalty. He's not John Davis, but he's royalty. Yeah.
Okay.
Prince in waiting.
Are you Harry or what? Yeah? I'm gonna start calling you Harry. Okay, so let's get back to design.
Let's go behind the car so he doesn't yell at us again.
Oh my God, it's Craig Cole. Watch out.
Oh
Craig
my goodness.
Cole. So let's talk a little bit about the design here.
Oh yes.
So you look at this thing and they decided to go with this boxy, chunky look, which obviously worked very well on the Telluride, but there's an interesting trick going on here. You look at this thing in pictures, like you guys will look at this in video, hopefully Zach can come back out and show you the whole vehicle. It looks, actually close the doors so they can see the size of the vehicle.
I'm afraid.
If Dave can close the doors, you can close the doors. Remember, Luke is your biggest fan. Luke doesn't even know who he is. So you look at this thing and you think it's bigger than a Telluride, but then you see it in person, it actually looks smaller than a Telluride, but in reality, it's significantly longer. The wheelbase is 7 inches longer, so that's where you package people and dogs. So this has the wheelbase, believe it or not, Andre, of a Mercedes-Benz S-Class.
I believe it, and it kind of, here in person, I can kind of see that. I sat in this yesterday when they were first unveiling this.
Yeah.
It's quite comfortable. They have the swivel seat design. This one doesn't have it.
The U.S. is not going to get it, and the reason why, the U.S. is not getting. So in Europe, you'll be able to swivel the seats around and
sideways, or
like the Volkswagens had back in the day. But unfortunately, we have a thing in the U.S. called lawyers, and they said no.
Because it's not as safe as it could be, or something?
Like an amoeba could sue you if it goes the wrong way. That's my guess, but I have been told
we still cannot use cameras for mirrors. We still don't have laser headlights.
Yeah.
What is up with you?
We live in a backwater country.
Yes. Okay.
So then, take a look at some of the design pieces. Notice the daylight opening. Zach, show him that D pillar there. It's not so much a D pillar as it's like a triangle coming up from the body side. It's really stunning and very different in the way they've designed this car. And this was indeed designed here in California. Granted, some of the wheel choices I think are a bit strange for me. Then we should probably try to you want to get in there and show them the interior?
Yeah, maybe we can do this here on this yellow car. I mean, did I call it yellow?
You called it yellow.
It's not yellow.
It's like a matte off-white.
It's gray silver. Okay.
This is one of my fellow world car jurors, Magic. He came all the way from Poland.
Yes.
Poland. Yes. This guy.
Hi.
This guy. He does all the cool GR Yaris and all the cool reviews in Europe. So definitely check out Magic.
Thank you.
That was very nice of you.
Well, you're a good man.
I owe you some money or something?
Yes. Give me some money. But I want euros, pounds, or dollars.
Well, I can't print them yet.
Okay. Then how about shekels? Let's show them the inside.
Yes.
That's incredible. You find a Kia
So notice some of the details of the
luxurious.
seat. They've got, like in the Ioniq 5, they've got the leg rest. And the idea is when you're charging, you'll be able to put the seat back a bit more. And it tilts it more than you could tilt it when you're driving down the road.
Oh, when you're stationary.
Exactly, when you're stationary. That's what it does in the Ioniq 5. Now, this is one of the benefits of having the extra 7 inches in the wheelbase. You have more space to do this. That's why they did the swivel seats.
Here's my question: Why doesn't a truck have that feature? I mean, Ram interiors are very nice.
I would agree. Why doesn't it?
Maybe we should talk. I will talk to Ryan Nagodi at Ram.
Yeah, you should.
And I should tell him about this.
Did you see who was floating around yesterday?
No.
Ralph Shield brought his boss, like his big boss. He brought Carlos Tavares here, and he was showing Carlos around, and they spent a lot of time in the Hyundai booth.
Wow, that is something.
Yeah. You want to show them the back there?
Yeah.
Look at this! Wow, electric seats in the back in a Kia. Now, okay, let's put a question out to the audience.
Yeah.
What do they think the cost of this vehicle is going to be at retail?
Because we don't have the final number.
We don't have
yet.
final numbers. I'll give them a little bit of a guideline.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the first number will be a 5, but that second number is going to be a 9. And I
think that high?
Oh God, yeah. And I think that one over there, that's the fancy one. That one is going to be up to 80 grand.
But here's
I'll
the thing.
tell you why.
But they have various versions. They have a two-wheel drive version, right, and an all-wheel drive version. So, like you said, there will be a range, right? There will be a range of pricing.
And they'll also have two different batteries. So there's going to be like a 72 kilowatt hour battery, that's the standard, and they're going to have a 99 kilowatt hour battery. The interesting thing about that, they don't change the interior accommodations. It's the same platform, small battery or big battery.
All right, Motorman, so now it's about time for us to take a small break.
Pay the bills?
So yes, a small break, but also we will transport ourselves maybe to the Seltos and also some really expensive machinery.
The stuff you like?
Yes.
Okay.
Snap, and we're back.
Like that.
And now this is the Kia Seltos, the 2024.
Very different from the EV9.
But also very different from the Kona, I would say.
Yes, it still has, it looks a lot like the car. It is updating. So this gives you an idea that the platform really hasn't changed that much. But I gotta say that they've put a lot of distance between the two cars now. They look entirely different.
Well, let's just take a quick peek at the interior. I'm gonna use my fancy light.
So one of the big things they've changed here is obviously the interior. They've picked up the new design motif on the interior from the EV6, which is the single screen. Technically, it's two screens behind one piece of glass.
But it looks almost seamless, right?
It looks seamless, yeah. But if you look into it, you can see the two different screens in there.
Yeah.
So that's now going to be the standard interior. And then they've changed a little bit in the front, but more in the back. The light signature in the back has changed. They've also changed the transmission. So this one now, it's got a torque converter instead of a dual clutch in the automatic.
Okay, and they've kind of offered the choice of both for a while, right?
Yeah, remember they had the basic one that had the torque converter, and then they had the one with a dual clutch. They don't do the dual clutch anymore on this. So the light signature is different here than the previous one.
Well, you know, I think it looks good. Which one would I like better, Kona or this? Gosh, I'm kind of a little bit more here. Maybe a little bit more boxy. For what do you think?
So I like that weirdo RoboCop, like Detroit 1980s era look of the Kona. I think it's really interesting. Have you seen, and I'll throw this out to the audience as well, have you seen the spy shots of the new Santa Fe?
Yes.
Pretty cool, huh?
Well, doesn't it kind of look a little bit EV9-ish, or no?
No, it's squared off,
It's
and
really
that's EV9, but it looks like a cross between a 4Runner and a Land Rover. And I mean that only in the best possible way.
Speaking of squarish things,
yes, sir.
There's a Grand Wagoneer, of course. I mean, it's not updated here.
Yeah.
But what is updated is this, and we have a full video about the new Wranglers.
Give us the high points.
So it's kind of a refresh, facelift. They changed the grille, they changed the interior, they gave it a bigger screen. The Rubicon has a new fully floating rear axle, more towing, up to 5,000 pounds. But the engines remain the same.
That's a big change.
Yeah, it used to be 3,500 pounds. Yeah. And now, because they changed the axles on the Rubicons, it tows more. And I think they're feeling pressure from the Bronco.
Obviously, I was just going to ask you, is that Bronco related? The other thing isn't,
I think so.
We know Mazda has switched to an inline six, which if you guys haven't seen the video, that car is incredible. The new Mazda CX-9 drives incredible.
Zach was over there with Case.
I was there as well.
You did that.
You were different ways, but aren't these guys going to an inline six as well?
Well, the Grand Wagoneers are.
They are?
Yes.
So when are they doing it?
Right now. This Grand Wagoneer has a straight six, 2 turbos, Hurricane, 3-liter, with up to, it's almost 500 horsepower. I mean, they're insane. I gotta tell you,
I love this renaissance back to inline sixes.
Yeah.
It's the most natural power plant, smoothest and best delivery of power and torque in an internal combustion engine.
You know, BMWs had inline sixes.
They've kept them for years.
Yes.
They practically invented it.
Yeah,
practically.
I love that. But I love that too. All right, so
are they going to put that inline six in the Wrangler?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a mid-size platform.
Why wouldn't they? That would be a
great
engine.
But what about the Ram truck?
Absolutely.
Because the Grand Wagoneer shares a lot with the Ram truck.
Yeah.
But it's not in the Ram yet. It's not yet. So
We're going to bypass Subaru, right?
Yes, we're
Okay.
bypassing Subaru.
Did you want to show them the Atlas peak?
Yeah, let's take a small peek,
Very peak.
very quick peek,
Yeah.
because we have a little bit more extended peek as
Okay.
a separate video. But because it's a new trend.
This guy's been busy here. How many videos did you do here?
I don't know, 6 or so.
Oh, you were slacking.
Yeah, I know.
Tell Roman that
normally
you were sleeping on
it
the
should be
job.
12.
It should.
no,
Roman
so-
was here, it'd be 15.
So the thing with a new 2024 VW Atlas Peak Edition, it's a trend in the industry, right?
Yes.
It's following on that rugged 3-row SUV trend.
Well, isn't it the Subaru Outback trend? Is that what it is?
No, it's like the Ford Explorer Timberline.
Yes.
It's the Kia X Pro, right? And now VW, the new Atlas, has their kind of a rugged, off-roady version.
What do you think of it? You're the expert on this stuff.
I like the more masculine, more off-roady look on this. Gosh, Toyota is having some really loud performance.
They always do this here. At this show, they always have this Toyota Live show.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about New York, man. They get people excited at this auto
You know,
show.
I love New York City.
It's the
You know, my
greatest city in the
sister
world.
lives here. I just love the energy here.
It's a special place.
Yeah.
It's a love it or hate it kind of place. Obviously, I grew up here. I still love it.
I'm
Fancy
seeing
cars.
some fancy metal, my friend.
Okay, we're going to have to get in there because there's a lot of different things we have to talk about. We've got everything from a Rolls Royce to
Yes.
a Koenigsegg, and I think we should pick at least 3 or 4 of those cars. We even have a special Lamborghini. Why don't we go to the special Lamborghini? We'll start there.
Yeah, because you know what? I actually was fortunate enough. I saw the new Revuelto.
I saw your video. I'm
Yes.
jealous.
And I was very lucky. But this is the. I'll probably mispronounce this.
Yeah, I'm
Stirato.
going to mispronounce it as well, but it is the Stirato. I call it the Lamborghini Dakar. So what this is the same concept as the 911 Dakar. And what they're doing is they're taking the 10-cylinder that we have in the Huracan, and they're making a last final run of Huracans with that 10-cylinder engine. So it's still got the 600 horsepower, but the big difference here is it's got 3 inches more of ground clearance, and then they add all of the cladding, the LED fog lamps, a different interior, different wheels, different tires. And then the key point about this car, yes, it's going to be the last naturally aspirated Huracan, but most importantly, they're only going to make 1,499 of these.
Yeah, and you know what? This almost looks Mad Max-ish,
Totally.
crossing with RoboCop. You know, something.
Totally.
There's something going on here.
Fascinating comparison on this one. So the Dakar is about $230,000 in retail price, and 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. You want to guess what this is going to cost?
Oh, it's the same.
The same, and what's the 0 to 60?
Is it the same?
The same.
Are they competing or not?
Yeah.
No.
Do you want something Italian or do you want something German? Me personally, I would want I'd want the German.
Yeah. So let's go this way really quick.
Let's see if we can get in here.
Get in for just a minute.
Yeah. So can we film in there? Okay. Well, we're going to see if we can get some access here. We didn't clear our access. Let's start with this.
Well, we can see inside the.
So this is the Gemera, the Koenigsegg Gemera, and what that is a very fancy hybrid. It's got a gas motor and it's got 3 electric motors in
just
it.
wanted to show some
and what
cars.
they do, why don't you come around the
walk through.
front, Zach? They've got a 3-cylinder gas motor in the front driving the front wheels, and then there's 3 electric motors. This combines, this is where we get into like ridiculous kind of crazy numbers on this car. This combines to 1,700 horsepower or 2,548 pounds of torque. This is supposed to go to 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds, but really Koenigsegg is more about the way it's built, the story of Christian von Koenigsegg and how he brought these things to life. So this is like their next version of their cars, but they're doing it in a way that it's not just, hey, let's do a hybrid. This is, let's do something different. Like those numbers I quoted you, that's using E85 fuel. Think about that. Ethanol.
Yeah. And like, I was just going to mention a comment about New York City Auto Show and also like Geneva traditionally.
Yeah.
Because this is the type of car you would usually see in Geneva.
Very much so.
But I haven't seen it in person until now, and I'm kind of blown away by it.
The proportions are incredible.
I'm blown away. I think images or video do not give it justice.
No, you have to see this car in person. If you guys are at like a local Cars and Coffee, so Koenigsegg does have one here in the U.S. They float it around different parts of the U.S. and they do bring it to Cars and Coffee, because you have to understand the daylight opening. That's the glass area of the outside of the car, and what they do here is they've got the daylight opening is one door.
Yeah, that's insane.
Let's
it's
go this
insane.
way, because we're not. Did we were granted access, or did you guys say no?
No, because some of the other guys are not here yet. But I wanted to ask you about this car.
This is fantastic. So there is a debate on how to pronounce it. I am not Croatian. I don't know how to speak the language. It's Rimac, I would say in English.
Yeah, Rimac.
But most people would say Rimac.
Okay, so
Now,
that's more kind of European pronunciation of it.
From what I understand,
Okay.
Don't beat me up in the comments about this. I speak English, I speak German. I do not want to butcher this man's name, because I have a huge amount of respect for this gentleman.
Yes.
He literally started, the guy is an engineer. He started by building an electric 3 Series. He went racing with it and literally beat everybody.
Converted a 3 Series.
Converted a
Yeah.
3 Series and went racing and won. And that's how he built his name. And he basically said, why don't I make a whole car? I'm super condensing the story. He went out and got investment, and they ended up getting investment to make Rimac. And what they've done now is they've created a company that really does two things. They make whole performance cars, and they sell the technology to other OEMs. But in the process, he grew in such stature in the EV world that the Volkswagen Group acquired half of his company and put him in charge of Bugatti.
And how many years?
And the guy is like 2 years old.
He's very young. He's not two.
He's like 32.
Yes. And it's all in the span of what, like just several years,
About
right?
10 years.
Yeah.
About 10 years. So this car here, this is their latest, the Nevera. This is an all-electric car. And again, like the Gemera, crazy numbers on this one. So this is 1,700 horsepower, and it is 1,914 pounds of torque, and 0 to 60 in 1.97 seconds. So just like your Bronco Raptor R.
No, not quite. It's not quite the same. These are amazing cars. And here at the show, you could see them together.
Yes.
This is one of the...
And then we get a Lotus. This is the Lotus Emira. So Lotus, I have a love-hate relationship. I used to love Lotus.
Yeah.
I've owned 2 of them. I literally moved to another country so I could buy one and go on tracks in Europe. This is the latest. This is the Emira. This is going to be their last internal combustion engine car, according to the company. And this is on offer with 2 different power plants.
Okay.
So you probably heard the news. These are owned by, or Lotus is owned by Geely. So
Okay.
it's under the whole Geely Volvo umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done is they've created a partnership with AMG in addition to the partnership they already had with Toyota. So there's an engine that is the base engine, which is a 4-cylinder from AMG. So like in the GLA 45.
Okay.
That engine here only on offer with a dual clutch transmission. Then they have the 3.5 V6 that they had in the Evora. That's available with an automatic and a manual. So yes, you can still get this in a manual transmission. I would love feedback from the audience. What do they think of the design of this?
Yeah, and you know, can I give you my impression after seeing
Please.
the Koenigsegg, the Rimac, and Lotus here at the same time?
Yeah.
The Koenigsegg Gemera, right?
Gemera.
Gemera, that's it. I think it's the most impressive. It's kind of the largest, has presence. The second, I would say, the Lotus for me.
Yeah.
And the third is the Rimac. Not that it's a bad design, but I think it just kind of I don't know. I don't know if the color combination works for me, first of all.
I would
And also
argue-
it kind of blends into the other
Yeah.
supercar
Yeah.
category.
It's, to me, that design is like if you were to see a supercar in a DMV driver's license booklet, that's what a supercar looks like.
But
Where
I
you
know-
look at the Gemera, it's organic. It looks like something that's living.
Yeah, and this car, yes, we'll be moving on shortly, but a lot of it is dictated by aerodynamics, of course.
Very much so. This is all a form follows function thing.
Yes.
To get that kind of speed, to get that kind of, I mean, think about what this thing can do. 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. That's very hard to manage, not just the aerodynamics, but keeping an electric car cool.
Yes.
That's where the design
Yeah,
comes from.
and of course planted on the ground at higher speeds and all that.
Very much so.
Speaking about higher speeds,
Oh,
and
speaking of top speeds, I mean, that
Yes.
thing, 412 kilometers an hour is top speed on that thing.
that converts to like what, 250-ish
Yeah,
or
about
something?
250 something, yeah. It's crazy numbers.
Well, now we're at the Nissan pavilion, and they have a couple of interesting cars here. Well, more than a couple.
Well, I think we need to focus just on one.
Yes, and it's probably this. Not that.
It'll be hard not to focus on that one.
But this is an updated 2024 Nissan GT-R, and it's got a little bit of fresh style, so it's largely the same car as it was. And
Since 2009.
yes,
Yes.
it's been almost, what, 14 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And under the hood is still the 3.8 twin turbocharged V6. But you see how some of the details have changed. They got kind of new aerodynamic pieces, new fog lamp, and a new grille design up here, and 600 horsepower on this one.
In the Nismo.
Yeah.
And then there's the basic one that's still what?
565, 565. I actually love that color.
It does work on this car. I have to say, you know, a lot of people will crap on these saying, oh, it's like a video game, blah, 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 whatever you want to call it. I am one of the few people that loves these cars, and I'll tell you why. There is something so natural about the way this thing delivers speed. Yeah, the transmission is very rough, but that's part of its personality. And a testament to all of this, this car came out in 2009, spanked everything in 2009. Here we are in 2023, it still spanks everything.
Yeah,
That is a
it was-
huge testament to what
I
they've
remember
created.
I met Roman with TFL in 2011.
Yeah.
And in 2012-ish timeframe, we got one of these on loan from Nissan to do some reviews with.
Yeah,
And it was like a dream come true, right? I mean, that car was that special.
still is.
And it's still quite special, yeah.
When I drive these, I don't drive them very often, but when I drive these around Los Angeles, people still come out of the woodworks because they know what it is. They love it. There is an entire installed user base that looks up to these things. Granted, it's because of that one there and the two others that came before it. Those are now bona fide classics. Those are now 100 grand on up in the US. People have realized, the market understands what those things are.
And by the way, this one, I believe they announced pricing, so about 116,000 to start. And when you get the Nismo, the price just goes
like
hugely
200,
up.
isn't
It's
it?
like 215.
Yeah.
But you know what?
215.
It's also inflation, right? In 2009,
2009 it was $85,000.
yes. But even the inflation should have taken it way above where it was. But I think,
Well, most cars since 2009 have gone up about 30% in their base prices.
so I guess that's true here as well.
In the base one, that one, I think what they've done is they've made this a very limited production car, and as such, they're saying it takes a lot for us to make those, so why don't we make it special in pricing as well?
Yeah. And exclusive, right?
Well, if I'm really reading the tea leaves correctly, it's their way to kind of artificially limit supply. Because that one's a pain in the ass to make. It's got the carbon fiber hood, it's got more carbon fiber bits on it.
All right, so now we have seen some truly living classics.
And this is the T-Spec, which is a new trim on this car.
Yeah, T-Spec. Oh, by the way, I noticed this. Is this, it looked three-dimensional to me.
You know, you should have that at your house in your living room. It would fit perfectly
A
in your living room.
three-dimensional shelf.
Yeah.
That's not three-dimensional.
But with steering wheels, with GT-R steering wheels on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we going now?
should we need to take another pause.
Oh, there's a very specific reason why.
Yes, because something has to do with this upper car here.
Just a little bit to do with this.
Yes.
We're going to actually take this and we're going to multiply it.
All right, so let's take a break, and in just a moment, we'll be somewhere else. Snap fingers, we're downstairs at the show.
Behold.
And what do we have here?
We have modern day classics. So this
Insane.
so a little bit behind the scenes, I think most people understand, auto shows have changed in relevance over the years. So where this hall used to be nothing but trucks, new trucks. So like Ram would be down here, GMC would be down here. Now everybody's got either smaller displays or they're not doing displays.
Or not here,
Like BMW, Porsche, Mercedes, all not here. So they've got to fill the space somehow. Here, really interesting way of doing it. So we've got a lovely Countach, that's like mid-80s, 5000. Then you've got a 500E. Always love these cars. These are now bona fide classics, especially some of the early ones.
Yeah.
These were a collaboration between Mercedes, AMG, and Porsche. The cars were actually built by Porsche. It's a 5-liter
is
V8.
This a Stratos?
This is a Stratos.
Wow.
So if you look at this thing, one of the most exquisite body designs ever. It was a very winning rally car. So much so now, it's got such history, they actually reimagine these cars where you can buy effectively a copy, like you can buy Cobra copies, you can buy one of these as a copy.
Look at the windshield, that's just
isn't that
insane.
Just
it's like an airplane almost.
It literally is.
Yes.
Now, funny thing, look at the windshield again.
Yeah.
This was, so we talked about Luke, your friend Luke, who was your biggest fan.
Yes, yes.
This was the inspiration for the EV6. If you look at the daylight opening of the EV6 through into the windshield, this is where they pulled the inspiration from the Stratos. Then come on over here.
Where do we go from here?
Apparently they have a ton of other cars. Notice I said not new cars and not classics when I teased this. So here we've got
this.
This I would call a modern day collectible. I wouldn't call this a classic.
Yes.
These are starting to be coveted by collectors because they know what it is. They're not going to make a rotary, at least a rotary that's going to be only internal combustion. Mazda has talked about bringing a rotary as a generator for the MX-30, which they do in Europe. But in a sports car like this, they're not going to do it anymore.
RX-8.
RX-8.
Yes.
So this is the one that had the barn door in the back. Granted, it's not as coveted like I had an FCRX-7, which was magnificent. The FD, which was a car, it was delicate, it was troublesome, but magnificent to drive and achingly beautiful, and as such, the market now realizes what they're worth. Then, if that were not enough, rows and rows and rows of Supras. So this, speaking of FDRX7, granted, this one's got the weirdo body kit. I'm not a fan of the body kit on these things because
this is like
these cars are so beautiful.
Yeah, but the Supra is like a Fast and Furious drag car, right?
This whole display is a car club here in New York. I got to tell you, I am very impressed how they put this together, because this is what people, I don't say not everybody, but there's a growing group of car enthusiasts that covet these cars, so why not get them together at a classic car show?
Yeah.
They're not technically classics, although I would argue a Supra that has not been molested, that's still stock. One of these at Scottsdale went for $180,000.
Yeah.
Think about it, this car new was $43,000 in 1993.
A lot of it is the engine, right? The 2JZ.
Not really. A lot of it is just the movie. These frankly they're not that great to drive. They're not the fastest cars in the world.
No, but the engine is legendary.
It is, but
2JZ.
Is it worth $180,000?
I don't know. To somebody, I guess it is.
I'm not saying the car was bad, because I love Supras. I owned a Supra. So don't take it that I'm shitting on Supras. I don't know if Roman allowed me to say that. It's the combination of the car plus the movie that brought it to prominence, as well as these, Silvias.
And yes, a lot of the wheels and kind of stance on these cars are kind of unique, but the bodies look usually kind of like untouched, right? And really perfect paint jobs, and just, that's what I love. I love that.
Now this is something I didn't expect to see here. A CTSV sedan.
Yes.
Granted, this one's got the funky wheels and the body
Yeah.
kit. I personally like these against stock. Fantastic car. Let's get past this
Okay,
group of very
let's
loud
move
people.
past here.
Another test track down here.
Yep.
This time with different cars. So not just Hyundais, this is like all the different brands that do the EVs.
All the electric cars.
And then, oh, just as an aside, Zach, show them that BMW there. So back to new cars for a minute. That's the BMW i4 eDrive 40. So that's the crappy one. That's the two-wheel drive. That's the cheap one, if you consider that a cheap car. But that is the fun one to drive. That one is so much more fun to drive than the M50 because that's the only electric car today that you can steer with your right foot. Let's press on over here. Lexus SC400. So this is literally a cornucopia of 80s to 90s to early 2000s, now somewhat collectible cars.
Yes. So I think the trick would be like right now, what is the next generation of those kind of collectible cars, right? Because it's not that long ago, like 20 years ago.
Wow, look at this
car.
guy. He put the mural of the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
Love
incredible.
the mural with the
and
Twin
hip hop,
Towers.
yes. Yeah, so that's kind of the key. I think the 86 from Toyota might be in there.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right,
86
currently.
from Toyota, I would say the Civic Type R, definitively the GR Corolla.
Yeah.
I would argue the GR Corolla Morizo probably is already there.
Yes.
Because they only made 200 of them.
Yeah.
So if you got one, don't sell it. This, one of the most fun cars to drive. This is the original Toyota 86, and this one has the funky seats. That, actually, no, they did. They somewhat changed the seats on this one, but this one you could have gotten the funky seats from Toyota that were from the Supra in this car from the factory.
Wow, these are gorgeous. Oh, including the carbon fiber front end on this one.
Actually, here are the seats you could have gotten from the factory. So these have the JDM seats, and these have the seats that were the US seats. Super fun car to drive. They even made the like a longer version that was a hatchback two-door. They didn't make a fancy one. They didn't make like the sport version, but it was such a cool looking design. A 510, this is a bona fide classic. Peter
Yes.
Brock made these things into proper race cars.
I think especially in this color.
Oh, beautiful color.
The
These
Datsun.
spanked Alphas and BMWs back in the days. They went toe-to-toe with the BMW 2002s on sports car racing, and these cars won. And then check this out. Little Mazda, an
I didn't even
RX-2?
recognize it. I wasn't sure what that was.
yeah, so that was an economy car for Mazda. You could imagine, did not work out so well with rotary. And then we get into an FB RX-7. So this is the first RX-7. They came out with these in '79. Super light, good amount of power in this car.
And it's got like almost drag radials in the back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's also probably non-stock
Yeah.
underneath.
From a design perspective, I prefer the FC, which is the 86. This one came out, as I said, in '79. Which one do you prefer?
Oh gosh. It's so hard to tell because, you know, I was a young man in the 90s,
Yeah.
right? And this is kind of my era as
Yeah.
well. So,
And then show them this Acura, Zach. Talk about collectible classics, or what's going to be the next thing. One of these, a yellow Type R that was perfect. Like, it was perfect. Came out of a stunning collection in Chicago that's like Can-Am cars and like one-of-one type cars. As a matter of fact, they have a BMW M3 with 10 miles on it, an E30 M3 with 10 miles in that collection. And we came out of that collection. This car sold, not this one here, but one like it,
Yeah.
in much better condition, $154,000.
yeah.
Can you believe that? Now take
Actually-
them to the other side.
Really quickly, the S2000 is, I've driven one of these.
Yeah, great car to drive.
Love it. Love it. Even though high revving,
Yeah.
but you kind of get in the mood, right? You get in
That's
that
the
mood.
fun part about
yes.
the high revving.
Yes.
I never like the way they look, but they drive magnificent, and they have a transmission that, in terms of shift action, it rivals the Miata. Then we have a whole line of cars that's right up your alley.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because I would consider myself a West Coaster, even though I live in near Denver,
So
Colorado.
then maybe you should get this lowrider. hang out in the 64.
Well, not that much of a West Coaster, but the great thing about the West Coast, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, it's a lot of open land, right? Public land. But to see kind of the East Coast where there's a little bit less, a lot less of public land, see East Coast off-roaders is also pretty cool. I love that passion that transcends not just one region, but every region.
This is the thing Roman would love. This Cayenne here with the off-road wheels and everything.
Yeah, I think, Roman tried to build one of these himself. And actually, I've seen these lifted even higher than this. Of course, the 4Runner, but the Land Cruiser,
magnificent.
80 series.
What are these in value? What are these selling for now? Not like this, but like if you were to just get a stock one.
You know, they're hard to find because a lot of them are modified, right?
Yeah.
So that's what brings the value a little bit higher on some of these 80 series, because a lot of them have lifts, suspensions, and etc. So.
And let's not forget Nathan's favorite.
Where is Nathan?
Nathan is hiding under a rock right now.
Look.
Literally, there
Utah.
he is.
Yes.
This is Nathan right here. That's where Nathan is.
2002 Montero with a giant camping setup.
Do you realize while we're here looking at Mitsubishis, crappy old Mitsubishis, he's driving fancy Maybachs? Did you know that? Right now, as we speak,
what?
We're looking at a Mitsubishi.
How does that make sense?
It makes we are living in the alternate universe.
Wow. And also, you know, this is Easter Jeep Safari time, so Jeep has a big event out there as well in Utah. And
so I do have to give Nathan some props here. I give him a lot of crap about Mitsubishis, but he and I did an episode where we talked about the history of Mitsubishi and what they, like some of the technological innovation. Even I have to admit, back in the day, incredible technological innovation. And just where they are now.
And they were in the car racing as well. And
unbelievable stuff. But now they're just kind of gussied up rogues.
So yeah, I can see there's still a lot of passion. I think a lot of these have either New Jersey or New York plates. So these are actually East Coast vehicles. Yeah.
So these guys are taking them to Vermont probably, going up there in the winter. Fantastic that they've put, Mark Scheinberg, who runs the show, I really take my hat off to him for what he's done here in filling up the space, basically taking a challenge head on that you don't have enough customers for your space, so what do you do with it? He brought the Enthusiast group in. Actually, that brings up a good point. Let's give these guys a question before we close out.
Yeah.
So auto shows are changing. What kind of stuff would you want to see in an auto show?
Right.
Enthusiast groups like this, test tracks, funnel cake, I don't know. Andre, do you want to see Andre?
Deep fried butter.
Is that a big thing in Russia?
No.
Or Nathan, do you want to see Nathan at the auto show?
Deep fried borscht?
Oh, yes, deep fried borscht.
I don't know if that's such a thing.
So what do you want to see at auto shows now that they're changing, and are they still relevant to you?
Right, and here's the thing. Somebody was telling me yesterday, oh, the auto show is dead, completely gone. I disagree.
Totally disagree.
Because, yes, there's some events before the show, like, Genesis was doing an event and some other manufacturers did events. But in the very end, it's stuff like this. Like, my dad is looking to buy a car right now in Denver. He doesn't want to go to a dealership, and kind of deal with the sales process.
Exactly.
He can come here and test, ride in many cars, sit in anything, and look at some classic or collectible machinery as well.
This was a genius thing that they did, and I would argue it was really Chicago and Jeep that started doing this, like the whole Jeep. Well, what do they call it?
Camp Jeep.
Camp Jeep thing that they do at the auto shows. And the Chicago Auto Show was like, we should steal this idea. So they did the indoor test track with the Chryslers. Yes. And then they brought in Mercedes one year, and they had the G-Wagon experience. And now you're seeing it at every car show because you don't have to worry about emissions.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. What other things would you like to see?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry that Roman or Nathan or Tommy weren't here, but I think we had a good time.
Liver, is that it?
No. You're the pillar of our auto show coverage.
I think this is our third or fourth time doing this together. We've done LA, Chicago, and now New York.
Well, why don't we keep going?
Let's keep going.
All right.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this, and thank you for coming to my hometown.
So Motorman TV, right?
Motorman TV, all one word on all the socials.
Yes, and of course, oldtfl.com. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.